while back, I received an overwhelming number of phone calls and messages about a picture that went viral of a hug between me and a little girl born without arms. Meeting her was so special for me in many different ways. 3-year-old Ari came to a special screening of Right Footed, the documentary film about my life. We were showing it at AirVenture, the world's largest air show held annually in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Oshkosh was my final stop on a 2-week motivational tour that took my husband Patrick and I across Ohio, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Missouri, and Kentucky. Before we left Arizona, I searched for days for a Facebook message I had received 2 years prior from a mother in Minnesota who had a little girl who was also born without arms. I wanted to invite her to the annual International Child Amputee Network conference, which I was attending in Ohio. I was disappointed that I couldn't find the message and just hoped that she would somehow hear of that event and show up. Whenever possible, I try to meet and mentor children and young adults without arms. It's so important for young people with disabilities to know that they are not alone in their circumstances and that they can lead happy, successful lives despite the challenges they face. One of the hardest things about growing up as a person without arms was feeling that I was profoundly different from everyone else around me. I had no roadmap or guide to show me how to adapt to life without arms. But when I was 18, a TV program featured Barb, a woman without arms who seemed to have it all. She was active and independent and had just had a baby with her husband. She lived just a couple hours' drive from my home, so I arranged a visit. I was amazed to meet this beautiful, confident woman. She could pick up her baby, change his diaper, and perform all kinds of other tasks with ease. If she had learned to do all these things without arms, why couldn't I? Barb challenged me to be more independent. I finally had a role model and mentor to help me navigate through physical and mental challenges. I stopped letting my mother and other people do things for me like grocery shopping. I learned how to do it myself. I tried new things like moving into my own apartment. In many ways, Barb's influence put me on a trajectory I'm on today. Now that I'm an adult, it's only fair that I give back what I received. On the day of the Right Footed screening at AirVenture, I was sitting in the theater when my husband told me that someone had messaged him on Facebook asking to meet. We looked around, and there I saw Carlin, the same mother who had messaged me 2 years prior. Beside her was her daughter Ari, who is the cutest little girl. As I walked over to Ari, she looked at me with wide-eyed surprise. She seemed to be slowly realizing that I was different from any of the other people she knew. We walked out of the theater together and went to the lobby. We sat on the floor. This was a special treat because sitting on the floor is actually more comfortable for us foot users because it gives us more support when we're using our feet and legs. Sitting there with Ari, I could see how she was watching me very closely, observing how I went about doing things and making the connection that just like her, I move around and accomplish everyday tasks different than others. After she saw me typing on my phone with my toes, she excitedly grabbed her mom's phone and started using her toes to play with it. I knew she had decided that we'd be friends when she asked if she could see my airplane. Being at AirVenture, there were more than a few air coops for us to look at. Ari was able to climb up onto the wing where I explained how I fly the airplane with my feet. On the way back to the museum, I made sure to be the one driving the car. I knew that such a demonstration would be powerful not just for Ari, but also for her mom. As we said goodbye, Ari put her little body against mine and gave me a hug. As I hugged her back, I realized that this hug was not like 99% of the hugs I received. It was very affirming for me to be given a hug in the same way I give hugs. I think her mother summarized the impact of our encounter when she told me that before Ari met me, she would often say to her mom, "I want arms." Now Ari says, "I don't need arms." Carlin recently sent me a photo of Ari in an airplane ride at an amusement park back home. The message sent with the photo read, "Gotta start somewhere." Thanks for watching. If you want to order a copy of Right Footed for yourself or your friends, there's a link down in the description. I also have another challenge for you. I take my feet for granted just like you take your hands for granted. So this week, I'd like to see you give someone a hug without using your arms or hands. Post some proof down in the comments and I'll share my favorites on my Facebook page. I would love to hear your feedback, questions, and episode ideas down below. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could use a little motivation. After all, If I fly an airplane without arms, what is it that you can do?